All right, so here we are, Linnea, on Lower Predator.
Yeah, I think this is a place where there's a lot of time to be gained by picking better lines, so I'm excited for a fresh perspective.
Yeah, I love this section of trail, this Lower Predator. You know, you end up getting in here and you're really tired by the time you get to it, and so that always makes it a little more exciting. So I think having good lines through it's really important, especially because it has some flat spots that you really want to make sure you're carrying speed when you get to them.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try and execute on the couple things we worked on last time.
You know, we were headed in and I thought, oh, we should probably look at this. People might want to know the line dropping into this trail. So for me, I like actually this left line. I like to come down here and I'm, you know, really passive, and I use that area where the dirt is and I kind of, you know, compress there a little bit and then light for the drops.
Woo!
So we're at our next little spot. You know, you definitely come down this section, and I think, you know, your speed determines a lot of how you deal with those rollers getting to this corner. But this is the next spot where I'm imagining, you know, well, looking at it, you can tell people are riding the whole thing because it's all worn down.
Yeah.
So kind of what do you see for a line here, you know, at pace for racing?
So I've always taken this outside line just because you have to get set up for the rest of the trail. I really like the outside line, yeah.
I think that's because it's the best line.
Well, then plus
you know,
one.
I think the biggest thing is looking at how you get into it, and then, yeah, using, and why this is the best line, I think is the most important thing for anybody that's watching this and understanding is, when you come around this outside, it might look like this big outside, but you create so much speed, and if you really look at the edge, it's basically a big berm all the way around. And this log sticking out is irrelevant because you're leaning. So you're leaning in this way around this corner. And the key thing here is you really want speed across that bridge and up that hill on the far side.
Yeah.
So that's coming in this outside line. I think what we'll look at is just going into it, because I think a lot of people end up coming inside.
Yeah.
Not because if you see it from here, it's kind of obvious, I think. But when you're up there, it actually isn't as obvious that this outside wide line is where you want to go. So yeah, coming in the top here, you can see it is obvious that line's up there, but I think what happens is people coming in, you know, come up over this and they see that this is not as far down. So coming up this hill, you have to carry momentum. So I think if you come into this and you slow down a little bit, it kind of forces you to want to take this lower line. But if you know and you come out and actually get up here early, you can see these marks getting up here early and carry that speed through. When it comes to racing and riding this fast, like we know this is a fast line, but how do you make it the fastest? And really getting your speed correct coming in here, because basically when you're here, you need to be off the brakes all the way through this and all the way down, because you're going across that bridge and up that hill.
Want to learn more?
Like, subscribe, and go to fluidrideonline.com.
All right, so we're on another little section. We got two spots here we're going to talk about a little bit, but show me kind of what your line is now coming down through this into the bridge there.
Yeah, just take the right line. It's nice and smooth.
Okay, so rider's right, you come basically out here, down there, and then you kind of have to make a right-hand turn back to the bridge.
Yeah.
So what line I like is I come in and you know, you have a bit of a turn back here, so I come across this way and just skirt my tire along these rocks right here and roll right here. And the reason why I like that is because it straightens me out going into a bridge. So, but I don't know how you feel about that rock. I mean, we're not talking about coming over here and going off this part of it or anything. That's kind of defeating the purpose of straightening it out. Now we're making it a bigger curve. So I mean, it's just this little of being on this side of this rock and going over it rather than that S through there.
Okay.
So, I mean, do you want to see me do it and kind of see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. So a thought on that is, you know, if it seems a little less comfortable, interestingly, you can go a hair slower and it's going to be the same speed to get there. Let me ride it slow and see what it feels like so I get an idea of what you're talking about and how you feel about it. Because I see what you're saying with a different speed.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Okay, I got you.
Nice.
I think what worries me is that it kind of feels like a drop, and like I'm going to punch my front tire into a hole.
Yeah. So it definitely is not. It's like, so you would, like a drop, you would go back before going off the drop. This is a steep roll, but it's a roll. So you want to actually be forward so that bike can come out and then come back to you. And then it's going to create the softness you need. Nice.
Okay, that wasn't so bad. Work it. Work it. That was Jason's old job.
So you were asking about this. We were headed down to another spot we want to talk about, but this is really good because you come out of that left and you come through here and you've got kind of an inside line that you follow. But then I'm looking at the next corner that I know I really don't want to just get wide on it, but I actually want to pre-turn it a little bit because that kind of where that log is to get over there and go in.
So what usually happens here for me, and I think most riders, is we come in here and there's this super slick route. And so I come in and I've been S-turning around this, and I know it's slow, but it seemed safe and reasonable at the same time. So I've been coming kind of snaking out to the left and then following what appears to be the main trail down.
So my line through is actually coming out here and featuring this. And the funny thing is you see this and you think, oh, now it's wet though, but the reality is I don't really touch it. So I'm gonna come in here and I've got all this area here to compress, and then I'm rebound and I'm featuring and floating. So I'm actually really not touching this hard and just coming off the ground. And basically what I'm doing is that's, instead of this triple S, because you know you're out, in, out, I'm just making this a big arc, and I'm just doing it with a feature in the middle of it and arcing through and creating this, and that aligns me to be outside here so I can make a pre-turn into the left that's down there. So do you want me to do a demonstration of this one?
Yes,
because I mean, I know you look at it and you're like, when you're coming this way, this thing looks gnarly. So,
I mean, you don't really come down a trail and head straight for something that looks like this normally, but I trust you.
Well, yeah, let me do it and see what you think and see if it's something you want to give a shot. You know, this is one of those, you know, it's definitely a time saver, but it may or may not be a viable option for you yet.
Okay. Okay, that was so awesome. You carried so much speed through here. You didn't make some janky S-turn. It looked really good. So where am I supposed to hit this route?
So ideally we're not gonna hit it, but I get that you could. So if you were gonna, I mean, this is the line we want, so this is where you're gonna hit it. I think what I would focus on instead of that is making sure you get compression here. So anytime we're gonna feature a road or something, we're gonna get compression here to be light.
Okay.
So even if we do touch it, we're gonna touch it really soft, off the brakes, no weight on the bike as we hit it. But ideally we'll get enough rebound and be passive as it comes up that will float.
Okay.
So I'm looking as a feature, just like right up there you did on those two earlier on that passive day. That's the same thing. So I think you'll be surprised you're not hardly gonna touch this.
Okay. Well, let's hope that's the case.
Yeah.
Woo!
So consider that your first time. Level up.
What does level up mean?
Bing, bing. You just went to the next level of riding, you know. So that's another second, you know what I mean? And that's what this is all about, is creating more speed on this trail.
And there's so much room to turn here. It actually really makes sense.
Well, now that you did it once, do you not feel like you're gonna go totally confident into it the next time?
Oh my gosh, I feel so good about that. I'm huge.
I've never heard a woman ever call herself huge. I was just thinking if the height thing. All right, so we're down to like the end of Predator, and the biggest thing I'll say about this is you are tired right here, like on a full run. But we want to talk about these turns because there's about 5 or 6 in a row here, and this is the first one. The key with this is this first corner is we're really coming in wide because we actually want to use our turn back there and come out early here. And you can see this mark for me coming inside and then going really wide down into that corner so I can actually use that berm and carry that speed.
I'm so glad we stopped here because now I'm seeing something. Because I think what happens is riders, including myself often, come through here and the berm keeps going, and so you want to just keep following the berm, but you have to actually leave the berm early in order to hit that berm. Yeah, I see how linking these turns together and like kind of over cornering allowed you to stay in the pocket of each of these turns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine, had I been in there, there's no way I would have carried this speed through there.
Right. Woo!
So what's your thoughts on that?
That's a great question.
You know what I think?
What?
Is I think you got this, but maybe came out of the corner a little too early, and so yeah, you two drifted. I mean, you actually
I drifted.
Ripped through it, but you actually killed momentum. I would stay higher a little longer and then cut it back when you're, when you're still up a little. See that a little bit higher up there? You can see your lower line. You actually cut that in pretty good. So yeah, this one you have that outside foot pressure and footwork, and then you come to do your opposite footwork into this corner, and you notice how you kind of pop from one side to the other. That's kind of a little trick you can do on some of these that aren't super high speed, but you're wanting to carry all the speed you can, is you can actually, in that footwork transition, kind of rebound out of that corner and into the next one and kind of force a little more turn out of it. Like if you're not quite coming out enough, you can kind of come out of the corner and in that footwork, bring yourself over into that corner. I know that maybe didn't feel as aggressive,
yeah, it didn't.
But it was actually faster, specifically here because when you slid on that first one, you actually killed a little bit of momentum.
Woo! Oh yeah!
There it is.
Oh yeah!
Now look, you almost, see how it almost sent you too much later?
Woo!
We just did lower predator.
I'm so stoked on those corners.
Yeah, I think it was good. I think, how much time do you think you made? Like I know we haven't even done a top to bottom, and we're probably not gonna get to because it's getting dark, but I mean, it'd be awesome right now to see that all put together, like
Just
top to bottom.
Seeing lines I've never seen before and feeling how it actually links the trail together so much better makes me really excited to hit it with speed.
So yeah, we're running out of daylight, and I know you're heading off to Mexico, so this would be really something fun to practice when you get back.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back here and ride this with you and then show off all my practice.
Yeah, all right, awesome. Sounds like a plan.
Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.